Hi, everyone. Welcome to Stoner Podcast, where we discuss true crime cases. Today, I want to discuss the case of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. We have breaking news. The cause and manner of death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez has been released, as well as the autopsy report, and we are going to discuss those two things today. Before we get to it, I want to share with you guys David's arraignment. There's a clip circulating. I haven't yet shared that on this channel, so let's get to it. Okay, here we go. Oh, and by the way, before we begin, I do want to comment. I want to thank everyone who has donated to our channel. I appreciate all the donations. My channel is monetized, and I do have a membership link. If you decide to be a member, you'll get exclusive perks such as members only live streams and that type of stuff. If you want to become a member, again, you're not obligated to do so. I just like, subscribe, share. That's all I ask. I'm not asking for money here. I just simply applied to it because this channel is monetized. So thank you all. If you have donated thus far, I appreciate you guys. And yeah, that's it. Let's get to it.
Versus David Anthony Burke. That's case number.
Wait, one more thing is that I want to thank everyone who's commenting and providing feedback as well. I am listening to the feedback that's being provided. So thank you for that. Let's get started. Here's David's arraignment, and then we'll get into the autopsy report, okay? Thank you.
26 CJC F02 399.
Good morning or good afternoon, Your Honor. Blair Burke, Marilyn Bednarski, and Regina Peter on behalf of our client, David Burke, who's in custody.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Burke.
Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman for the people, Your Honor.
Thank you. And counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're requesting a preliminary hearing within the period?
Yes, Your Honor. From the media reports, apparently there have been 4 months of secret grand jury proceedings. We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity in order to establish that. We're asking for April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor.
Okay, so if you guys are not aware, David pled not guilty and he has the right to a speedy trial. They have requested a preliminary hearing date tomorrow. So it's tomorrow. Now, this exchange is very interesting. So also I'm going to cover the trial, just so you guys know.
Anything from the people?
We'll be very happy to put on the evidence that we've collected in this case in the last several months.
Thank you. So the matter will be set.
That right there. Ooh, girl. So I am drinking Kona Big Wave, by the way. This stuff is so good. Like, I'm addicted to this new beer. I had it in Hawaii, and since then, this is like the only beer I want to drink. This hair flip by the prosecutor, Beth Silverman, is telling. She is confident, it seems. Let's play that again, unless she's just faking it.
Thank you. So the matter will be set up.
See that?
Thank you. So the matter will.
Actually, I did a video. Let me pull my video up real quick. This one was funny. By the way, go follow Stoner Pod on YouTube. So I'll be posting clips on there. Yeah, so go check it out. Hang on, because this one is Stoner Pod. This clip is hilarious, and I want to share with you guys. Ready? It's Stoner Pod. Wait, hold on. Hang on. You know what? Forget it. I'll do that later. I'll do it later, okay? Because I don't want to distract us. Here we go. Ready?
Will be set. Plea of not guilty has been entered on behalf of Mr. Burke. The matter will be set in. Thank you. So the matter will be set. Plea of not guilty has been entered on behalf of Mr. Burke. The matter will be set in Department 105. The matter is ordered assigned to Judge Charlene Almeida in Department 105.
He's like, okay. Okay, David. Okay, brother.
The matter is ordered assigned
Innocent
to
until
Judge
proven
Charlene
guilty.
Almeida in Department 105 for all purposes by the judge of the supervising judge of criminal.
Yes, Your Honor. If I may just put on the record, we have, as soon as the people arrived, delivered a informal discovery request consistent with Penal Code Section 1054. We have been given almost no discovery thus far. We've received a 3-page follow-up report, no autopsy report, and a copy of the complaint. And we would ask the people respectfully to produce discovery at the earliest opportunity.
Your Honor, as I've indicated to counsel, there's approximately 40 terabytes of discovery in this case. Moreover, in order to obtain the transcripts from a grand jury investigation, counsel has to file a motion. She knows the way the system works.
Ooh, so this part too. She's basically saying 40 terabytes of data, you guys. 40 terabytes of data. Do you know how much? Oh my goodness. Oh my God. So she's telling her basically, the defense has to file a motion to request for all that data, all the witness statements that were given during the grand jury. The defense attorney has to file a motion to release that information.
Able to gather those, they have to be provided after the court orders them released because it was an investigation. Second of all, if counsel plans on going to a preliminary hearing within the 10 days, it is unlikely that there will be very much discovery provided within that period, given the voluminous nature and how long it's going to take to copy onto drives.
And she's basically letting the defense know that it's possible that they're not able to gather all of this data, all of this evidence within the 10-day frame. So they may need an extension, honestly.
In addition to that, the coroner's report was sealed in this case in order to prevent it from hampering truthful testimony from witnesses that testified at the grand jury. So an order will also have to be obtained in order to get the coroner's department, which is now the medical examiner's department, to release those materials.
Your Honor, it's surprising news given the district attorney's office held a press conference this morning where they discussed the cause of death, apparently under seal and not released by the coroner's office, as did the robbery homicide unit to the press. So we would again reiterate We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled to discovery. We have served the people with notice. They have 15 days to produce discovery in this case. We would ask that they do that in conscientious earnestness and as quickly as possible.
I'd ask the court to make an order today. We'll take a copy of the minute order ordering the Department of Medical Examiner to release their coroner's report in this case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The court will order that the medical examiner release the report in this case forthwith.
Thank you.
The matter set in Department 105, as the court indicated, April 23rd, 2026, as a 3:10 p.m.
Okay, so now that the medical examiner report has been released, let's review it, shall we? Let's see here. So this reads County of Los Angeles, Department of Medical Examiner. There's a case number. There's her name, Celeste Abigail. Abigail's her middle name. That's pretty. Body examination. I observed, let me try and zoom in here. Make this a little, hang on. I mean, I can't zoom in because it's an actual image. So let me do this. Sorry, you guys. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on here is to have everything ready to go and organized so that there's no silence or pauses in between this live. But, you know, I'm getting better at it, you know. So here we go. It says, I observed the descendants. Okay, so this is another thing, you guys, like, forgive me with these words. I'm trying my best here. I observed the descendant's posture, head, and torso lying prone in a body bag inside the front trunk of a Tesla. Her head was oriented towards the north. She appeared of indeterminate age and ethnicity with dark hair and natural teeth. She was wearing a tube top, underwear, leggings, and socks. So I'm just picturing Celeste simply in a tube top and underwear, leggings, and socks. Wow. I observed multiple holes in the front of the back of the tube top. Front and back. Oh boy, oh boy. She was missing both arms above the elbows. Trigger warning, you guys, trigger warning. She was missing both arms above the elbows and both legs above the knees. Okay, so, you know, just her hand and knees, okay? Those parts were missing. Underneath the body bag was a black trash bag that contained the descendant's apparent compiled bilateral arms and legs. Okay, so there was two. And underneath her, there was another one with her arms and her legs. They appear to have been dismembered into several fragments. Trigger warning. I noted an approximate 1-inch linear defect on her abdomen, and a circular defect on her left flank. The left ring and pinky fingers appear to have been mutilated, and I did not locate them during my scene exam. So her left ring and pinky fingers appear to have been mutilated. Her left ring. Oh, her left. Got it. These two are missing. She has a tattoo that reads, "Shh, On the inside of her right index finger, I did not observe any discernible scars or tattoos. The descendant was not ID'd viewable, like she was unrecognizable, obviously, due to the decomposition of the face, and was not live scanned due to the waterlogged fingers. She was assigned Jane Doe 550. Per investigator Magdalene, on September 16th at 08:15 hours, Dr. Law positively identified the descendant as Celeste Abigail Rivas Hernandez via dental radiograph comparison. Per the investigator Magdalena, Detective Joshua Byers notified the descendant's parents of the death by telephone on 9/16. Tissue donation not addressed. Autopsy notification. Detective Byers requested a 2-hour autopsy notification. See case notes for confidential contact information. Again, trigger warning. Here are these stab wounds. Right here, right here. Okay. Her eye was missing. It was basically missing. She was, the decomp was so bad. So I am going to also, here's the stabs. So it has been determined that her cause of death and her manner of death, let me go to that page. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here we go. Let's share. Here we go. It says, just give me one moment. Guys. Okay, here we go. Thank you guys for joining. Prior to my arrival, the front was open and the body bag was unwrapped and opened to view the descendant. The descendant was dismembered and was inside a black body bag and a black trash bag. The descendant was severely decomposed, and there was decomposition fluid on the outside and inside of the bags, you guys. The descendant was female and had dark hair with decomposition fluid and insect activity. Also, insect activity was observed on the body and the body bag. That's super interesting because we hear in one of the streams that there's bugs inside the house. We hear that. I can play that. We have record of that. Also, insect activity was observed on the body and the body bag. I said that the body bag had a double zipper, 3 handles on each length side, and a handle on the top and bottom width end. The body bag took most of the front space. Inside the front, the body bag contained the descendant's head and torso. In a prone position, the descendant's head pointed north. I read that part. And I also read that part already. Okay, so let's see what this says here. Date of injury unknown, place of injury unknown, pronounced date and time, September 8th. She was examined September 10th by Karen Tapia. The deputy medical examiner is Dr. Nam Ansel. There's also a supervisor deputy and a forensic technician. All of these are going to, at trial, they are going to have to testify, right? Testify to these findings. Okay, so that's that. Let's read Let's read this article here by Laura Conlin. Go check her out. I'll link her to the description here. Okay. So let's read this article by Lauren Conlin. Thank you once again. So this says the autopsy finds Celeste Rivas Hernandez died from penetrating injuries. The medical examiner outlines grisly torso injuries and advanced decomposition in a chilling autopsy report as the case against D4VD moves forward. The LA County Medical Examiner has determined that 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez died from multiple penetrating injuries and ruled her death a homicide, according to an autopsy report reviewed by Los Angeles Wednesday. Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Odi Ukpo also released a statement. After several months, I am grateful this information can now be released, not only to the public, but also to the grieving family enduring loss. It is unfathomable they have had to wait this long to learn what happened to their daughter. The transparency of the information contained in our findings and reports is essential for empowering the community to make informed changes to effectively reduce fear and allowing the community to take informed action. I like that. Boom. I love that. Again, the transparency of the information contained in our findings and reports is essential for empowering the community to make informed changes to effectively reduce fear and allowing the community to take informed action. Amen. Making the department's information publicly available is not just about accountability. It is about social justice and prevention. Put this on a t-shirt, bro. Put this shit on a t-shirt. By ensuring access to this information, we strengthen our ability to learn, to act, and ultimately to prevent the next tragic loss of life. I want to extend my gratitude to our partner agencies for taking the necessary steps of filing an order with the court to make this disclosure possible. So that's that. Yeah, so the cause is, so we know the manner and cause, right? On an autopsy report, the manner, it can be an accident, it can be homicide, it can be suicide, right? And the cause can be things like OD, she OD'd, or she was strangled, or gunshot wounds. Those are the causes of death. So it has been ruled that the manner of death was homicide, and the cause is penetrating injuries. Penetrating injuries. Okay, this will, and then of course TMZ immediately is like in defense mode. This will also be interesting issue at trial. The autopsy report says there is a presumptive positive for methamphetamine and MDMA. But there was another screening which says meth was inconclusive and MDMA was not detective. Okay, so of course, there's conflicting information there, but that's why we have a trial. And we want a fair trial. We want the persons who did this to Celeste to be charged. We don't want an innocent person charged for this murder. Let's continue on and see what else is said. The report brutally describes that she had 2 deep stab-like wounds to her torso, one which I showed just now. You see it, up here. You see the wounds to her torso. There's 2. right? That's kind of like, I'm just trying to like picture it all. I'm sure everyone is going to come out with their own theory and own conclusion, allegedly, of what occurred here, right? So the report brutally describes that she had 2 stab-like wounds to her torso, 1 wound to her upper abdomen pierced her liver. The one in her upper abdomen pierced her liver. I wonder if she like bled from these 2, if she just bled out. You know, if these were the fatal wounds, and you know, which is sick because she wouldn't have died instantly. So it's pretty sick to think about that. She was watched, or, you know, she was watched. While another to her chest went between her ribs and damaged the surrounding bone. The medical examiner noted that the condition of her body made it more difficult to fully determine all details. Well, that's understandable, right? The report also states that her left ring and pinky finger. So her left ring and pinky finger, interesting, had been amputated, but the body diagram inside the report shows her right pointer finger with the tattoo was intact. I wonder why these 2 though. She could have been, I'm trying to think, I'm just speculating, she could have been trying to possibly hold the knife, like, well, you know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know. I don't read anything about defensive wounds. I'm not reading anything about defensive wounds, but I don't know. I'm not sure, right? But I wonder if that's why, right? Okay, so let's continue. Where am I? I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. My computer's going crazy. I want to go up. Okay, here we go. Okay. I read that. I read this. Okay, so here we go. Here's where I left off. The penetrating wounds of the torso and the upper abdomen were described as 3/4 inch length and 1.5 inches deep, with the wound on the left chest described as 9/16 inch length and 2 inches deep. So that's not deep at all, right? I need a ruler. But if it punctured, I mean, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but if it punctured her lung, then I'm guessing that would explain, she might have lost a lot of blood, hence why she passed, I'm thinking. The report also indicates the date of injuries were unknown. The medical examiner also documented additional injuries, including superficial abrasions on the victim's hand. The report does not specify whether those injuries were defensive in nature. Investigators said portions of the remains were dismembered and the body showed advanced decomposition at the time it was recovered. The remains were found in September 2025 inside cadaver bags located in a vehicle registered to D4VD. The head described a partially skeletonized with significant postmortem deterioration. Investigators also documented that when her decomposed body had been placed inside multiple bags, there was insect activity and fluid leakage consistent with prolonged concealment. Yeah. Yeah. So her body was somewhere else. Before it made it to the front, her body was somewhere else. Toxicology findings were inconclusive in part. The report notes an initial presumptive positive for certain substances like MDMA and methamphetamine. Though additional testing was revealed no MDMA and methamphetamine was inconclusive. Alcohol was also noted, but was not considered a contributing factor in the death. I can't read today, my bad. Holy shit. Okay, so she had some alcohol, and the first report was inconclusive, but the second revealed some MDMA and meth. So, I mean, he obviously was doing some heavy drugs. We saw the 4th of July clip. They were hiding drugs in the backpack. Prosecutors alleged that singer D4VD, real name David Anthony Burke, killed the teen in April 2025 using a sharp instrument and later dismembered her remains. He has pled not guilty to the charges, including first-degree murder, continuous sexual abuse of a child under 14, and unlawful mutilation of human remains. He is due back in court tomorrow, and I will keep you guys informed. But don't leave yet. I'm not done. I have something else I want to share with you guys. Let's go to YouTube. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I wanted to discuss, I absolutely wanted to cover Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Let's go on to Reddit. I'm sorry. Let's go on to Reddit. I'm going to share my screen. Now, this page has been updating us constantly. Our D4VD idiots. D4VD idiots. So shout out to them. Thank you. So there was something on here. It says, confirmed by the medical examiner, D4VD cut 2 fingers on Celeste's left hand, which had D4VD tattoo. Now let's look, right? I haven't read all of these things here yet. One sec. Okay. So if we look at Celeste's photo, they're saying she had the tattoo whatever SHHH for on her left finger. So, oh no, it's not. It says David. It's not SHH. It's David. So, I don't know. I guess they're speculating that that's the reason why. Medical examiner says she was killed by 2 penetrating wounds. Yes. She had 2 stab wounds in her torso and chest. The torso wound hit her liver. I'm wondering if that was the fatal wound right there, the one that hit her liver. She may have had Molly, meth, and alcohol in her system. Yeah, but it's not 100%. It's inconclusive. And the medical examiner said this did not contribute to her death. So this rules out any questions regarding overdose. That this rules that out, right? The murder weapon is not specified in this report. They also claim her body was placed in the Tesla where it sat for an entire 4 months. All right, yeah, let's head over to Steve Investigates because he wrote something interesting on Twitter. I retweeted that. So let's share that. Okay, so let's go to Steve Fischer. Okay. So he came out with a statement, which is how I found out about the autopsy. I have my notifications set for him because I know he's one of the first ones with the news. So here's his statement regarding the autopsy report. Let's read it. The cause and manner of death for Celeste Rivas Hernandez were determined months ago. It's like a constant battle with Steve and TMZ, it seems, online. Because once TMZ reports something, Steve has to, like, come out and correct their reporting, so to speak. So the cause and manner of death for Celeste Rivas Hernandez were determined months ago. As stated in the official press release, the cause and manner of death were determined December 9th. So this is because Steve, I keep saying Steve Harvey, Steve Weinstein, whatever his name is, he keeps coming out saying that what took so long, and in fact, whoops. To stage. Can you guys hear me? Testing. Hang on one second. Let me try to do this. Okay, please hold. We're trying to get everything. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Okay. Oof. All right. Let's go on. The repeated claims by TMZ that the medical examiner was unable to determine a cause and manner of death due to the condition of her remains were never accurate. They were waiting on toxicology, which they were able to get even in her state of decomp. I have not been perfect in this case, but I have acknowledged when I was wrong. TMZ, on the other hand, reported that Celeste's remains were still partially frozen when they arrived at the medical examiner's office and suggested that David Burke was only recently arrested because a cause and manner of death had just been determined. That information is incorrect. At this point, nearly all of the information they have put out on this case has been false or misleading. I am glad that the facts are finally driving the narrative in this case. Celeste died by being stabbed by an objects that caused 2 penetrating wounds to her torso and caused a liver injury. Toxicology found she was presumptive positive for, I'm not even going to attempt to say that word, and methamphetamine, MDMA. I have personally spoken to witnesses who told me that David used hard drugs with them. That's that. And then he came out with something else here. This is interesting too. It says, this is a timeline I put together covering the period just before it was alleged that David Anthony Burke killed Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Through the time shortly after, it is alleged that he dismembered her body. The timeline is based on recovered and deleted social media posts, as well as confirmed public media appearances. It will continue to be updated as additional data is compiled. It can be viewed at the link below, and I have also attached several screenshots from the timeline. The sequence appears to show a surge of activity immediately after the alleged murder, followed by a period of relative silence in the days leading up to the alleged dismemberment. On on the date it is alleged the dismemberment occurred, May 5th, 2025. A social media post places him in downtown LA around 11 p.m. You're kidding. One of the most significant unanswered questions is, where was Celeste's body? Where was Celeste's body between April 23rd and May 5th? April 23rd and May 5th. Yes, I agree. The time, I have my own timeline too. Like, I have my own timeline. But I don't know if I want to create an Excel spreadsheet of the timeline or do it like in another visual type of way. I don't know yet, with photos and shit. The timeline shows that that he traveled to New York on April 24th. April 24th, he traveled. I got to add that to my timeline. Because she was last seen on the 23rd at Hollywood Hills. And then he travels to New York on the 24th. Within a single day, he would have had to place her body somewhere. He later returned to nearly 2 weeks. He later returned to nearly 2 weeks later. Huh. So on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, he posted from downtown LA, a chow mein truck visible in the background can be independently confirmed to have been operating in that area on that date. Wow. Is there a connection? Let's see. Oh, this is his timeline. I'm afraid to click. I'm afraid to click. Is my VPN on? Yeah, it's on. All right, let's go. Oh, wow. Holy crap. He broke it down. He broke it down. You guys, let me share. All right, let me remove this stuff from my stage so it doesn't confuse me. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Hit that like button so that this story can go out to more people, okay? So it is seen by more people. I am going to pull up this timeline that Steve has shared with us. As soon as I find, here we go. Boom, and there we have it. Okay, so this is saying that David's public activity timeline. Okay, all right. Let's get into it. I want to sit down. Let me sit down. Okay. Okay, let me take a seat in the stool. Bring this baby down. Just a tad. Yeah. Okay. Try not to spill my beer all over the place here. All right. Thank you for joining, you guys. Let's get to it. Holy shit. This is super high for me. Let me do this. Oh, yeah. This is like an extra extender for the mic. So now that I'm comfortable here, we can jump right into it. All right. So according to Steve, this is the timeline he has set up, okay? A factual record of singer David Anthony Burke. Publicly visible moments, performances, press, and social media posts between April 21st and May 22nd. This time frame brackets the dates the LA County prosecutors have alleged in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Important context. Los Angeles prosecutors have alleged 2 key dates inside this window. On or about 4/23/2025, which is the alleged killing, right? On or about May 5th, which is alleged that she was dismembered. All right. So the allegations are unproven. D4VD entered a plea of not guilty in his arraignment on April 20th and is presumed innocent. We know that. This timeline is intended to provide factual context, not to assert guilt, compiled from publicly available news coverage, concerts, and ticketing databases and timestamps embedded in D4VD's own social media posts. Okay. So, again, he's focusing on 4/23 date because that's when the court when it is alleged that she was last seen, right? Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to share this post, and then we're going to go here. Perfect. All right, I wanted to update the thumbnail and everything and share this out so more people can view this now. Now that's done. Okay. I'm a one woman show. What do you want from me? All right. So April 23rd, April 21st, sorry, my bad. D4VD's Coachella weekend, 2 sets ended the prior day. This is when the Coachella ended. Okay, that was a Monday. He was in the LA area. Then on the 22nd, Bands Lab announces 3-day D4VD pop-up event in New York City. So on the 22nd, Band Lab announces this drop, okay, in New York City. The day before she is unalived, allegedly. The day before she literally is unalived, allegedly, this is announced, okay? Now, on the day that the prosecution is stating that she was unalived, this very day, he was still in Hollywood Hills, okay? Prosecutors allege that Celeste Rivas Hernandez arrived the evening of April 23rd at D4VD's rented Hollywood Hills home and was last heard from on or about this date. The Withered World Tour tickets enter pre-sale on this same date. Amazing. Then on TikTok, D4VD writes, quote, "Your prayers have been answered. It's finally here." And he promoted the upcoming album release. That was what? This is at 5:53 Pacific Standard Time. 5:53. Okay, he does that on TikTok. Okay, same day that she is unalived. Then moving on to the following day, that's when the tickets officially go on sale for this Withered World Tour. And on this day, he flies to New York, right? And on Instagram, he posts, "My Withered World Tour is now officially on sale" at 11:38. Flies to New York for the pop-up event, right? Then let's keep going. Then on the 25th, now here he's in New York City. That's the album drop. Withered Dark Room released, debuted at number 13 on Billboard 200. Like, how? This is crazy. Then he has he appeared in person in a meet and greet. He had an acoustic set, and this was it. Then he performed live for the first time at the Band Lab pop-up acoustic set. Let's play this. Is it playable? No, it's not playable. I do want to play it though, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy this and paste it on YouTube so that we can watch it, because I heard that he gets super emotional here and I want to see it for myself. So let's find that recording. I guess if I get a strike, it doesn't matter. I'll just remove it or delete it later on. But let's look for that video. Okay. Let's do D4VD at Union Square. Okay, let's see if this works. I'm so sorry, you guys. I know you guys hate this part. I know you guys hate the part where I'm looking for shit. You know, I understand that, like, it's bothersome, but what do you want me to do? I can't find this shit. Okay, forget it. Forget it, because it's taking too long. It's taking too long to find. Am I doing it right? I don't know. I put in 2 days later, Afterlife became the close. Oh, this was in Houston. That's why. This is in fucking Houston, not even in Square. Let me do Houston. I was confused because, like, first it said he was in Union Square for the pop-up, but then here it is. I found it. Here, I'm gonna play it. Hold on, I'm gonna share it. Look how emotional he looks, you guys. He does look emotional. Watch.
And when I die, I'll love you from the afterlife. Afterlife, the afterlife. The afterlife. Can feel it. What good is a kiss without me?
Right there.
It won't stop me from bleeding, but I'll buy what I can as I try to pretend something else is making me cry when you cross the line. Your side. I'll love you from the after.
What? He's breaking down. He's crying. He's legit crying here. He's legit crying here. This was in Houston. This was Steve Fischer wrote. This was on April 25th. April 25th. No, I'm sorry. 2 days later, After Life became the closer of his April 27th Houston album release shows, performed twice. So he performed on April 27th. This is a performance. This is it. I don't know. This is weird. This is weird to me. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you that this is weird. This whole reaction, whatever show he's putting on right now. I got chills because when he does this, like I'm seeing C. I'm seeing C for Celeste. When he did this, watch. What did you do? What did you do? Okay, so let's continue with Steve's timeline. That was very
The next 3 to 10 years, there's
yeah, let's go back to Steve's timeline here. Okay, here we go. So I already read this part. 2 days later, that's where he performed in Houston live. This one, he did it twice. So the one I just watched and this one, which I cannot find, but he breaks down twice to this song. Okay. Next, his TikTok says, mine is friend again. Say it back and ghost, to be honest. On TikTok, he says, mine is friend again. Say it back and ghost, to be honest. I don't know. April 26th, New York City again, right? Oh, I'm sorry. No. Yeah. Okay. I went forward, but we're on April 26th. A creator workshop with BandLab. There was an Instagram reel of the previous evening's Afterlife debut surfaces and goes viral. Silence begins. No further posts found on David's own social media account after April 25th. Notable contrast, third-party fan accounts continue circulating the emotional Afterlife moment, but David himself does not post about it. Of course, he doesn't want to out himself, you know? All right, so then social media silence between the 26th of April and May 13th. Okay, so after 3 days of high volume album release postings, David's own account, social media activity goes quiet. Live appearances and tour business continues during the silence. Houston, April 27, Brooklyn, April 29. The silence is broken only once by a single Instagram story on the night of May 5th, the same date prosecutors have alleged in connection with Celeste's body. How strange is that? Like, coincidence? You think coincidence that he breaks his silence the day that the prosecution is alleging that he mutilated the body. Then he resumes until the late night TikTok on May 13th. Okay. So on the 27th, he goes from New York City to Houston. Okay. He has that appearance. We saw that already. On the 28th, he flies from Houston back to New York City for the Brooklyn show. Then on the 29th, he's still in Brooklyn. And the 30th, silence. Silence, silence, silence. Yo, Steve, shout out. This is a good timeline. Shout out. I like the format. I think I'm going to use this format. I like his format here. Silence, day 9, and then May 5th is when he's back in LA and is alleged that he breaks silence, right? So prosecutors allege Celeste's body was mutilated on or about this date. And he breaks silence with this story. Oh my God, chat, should I get it? He says. And this is skateboards, and it has Celeste, and this is this Kirby, the Mario Brothers character? And we know that Celeste is like all about Hello Kitty, you know? So this is posted on Instagram the day it is alleged that she was dismembered, mutilated. So that's very interesting, huh? Then let's move on to May 6th. Then after that post, silence resumes. He's silent, silent, silent. May 13th, there was a podcast. Oh, I wonder if this is one of the ones that we have already watched on this channel. Let me do a quick YouTube search for this podcast right here. It says Tape Notes podcast. Copy. Paste. Let's see. It could be one that we already covered, right? I'm just making sure. It is one I have already watched. Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember this one. Okay, so I'm gonna just have this pinned so we can look at it later. Because it's very interesting that he's on this podcast. So I'm interested to hear some things here because it's right after, all of this, right? Like immediately after, I'm trying to say. All right, so May 14th, there's a TikTok and silence breaks again. David wrote on TikTok, "Sorry, Mom, for posting your fall, but this is too funny. I love you." So he posted an Instagram of his mother's fall, allegedly. It seems first own account post since May 5th Instagram story implies he was physically with his mother. Ends the second stretch of silence. Okay, yeah, it implies he was with his mom then. Good point. All right, so May 15th through the 19th, he's in Korea. And then he performs required to be in country by May 21st. What? Yeah, so he's still in Korea and he performs Here With Me. Then he performs Is This Really Love? Okay. I think that's all about it, right? May 22nd. Then on TikTok, he writes, I met Boy Next Door, Harmony and Mewtwo. Interesting. Yeah, it's up until the 22nd. Thank you, Steve, for this. I appreciate this. This was very helpful. Thank you for this. And now I'm going to take a look. Hey, Senor Wazowski, what's up? What's good? Oh my God, I haven't really touched Idaho 4 lately, but I know there's a ton out there, ton of new stuff out there. So once I get a break, I'm gonna look into Idaho 4 again, especially those WSU docs and all of that, right? And new interviews too have been released. So I'm gonna get into that. All right, so you guys, I know you guys are not into, maybe you are, maybe you like Nancy Grace, I don't know. But I just have to watch her latest podcast, Nancy Grace, because we're going to see what she has to say. She usually has some experts on. Check out my Baltimore City PD body cam. What you mean, Baltimore City? You're from Baltimore? Or is this tied to the Idaho 4? Is this tied to the Idaho 4? That's interesting. Baltimore. Okay. Let's go to what 2 hours ago. Oh, I was going to go to the one she did yesterday, but she has a recent one. Let's go to it. Yes, Nancy, yes. I want to hear what you have.
Music star, D4VD.
This is for entertainment purposes, obviously.
AKA David Anthony Burke, in the last hours thrown into segregation, had to move jails after charges come down regarding the grisly murder and dismemberment of a 13-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. Her body was in deep decomposure. She was also dismembered.
You're peeking behind the curtain here of what investigators have uncovered is probably a lot of communications and digital evidence around this conspiracy.
We may never get a COD cause of death. As we go to air tonight, David Anthony Burke, AKA D4VD, thrown into segregation, had to move jails after charges and arrest in a grisly murder of a then 13-year-old girl. And the allegations are disturbing. According to the prosecution, he murdered her with a sharp object because she threatened to come forward about their sex relationship, knowing it would destroy his music career. Why thrown into segregation? Straight out to Caitlin Becker, senior national correspondent, New York Post, and host of a hit new podcast, NY Postcast. Caitlin, thank you for being with us. Why segregation?
Well, Nancy, it's because of his notoriety. They're keeping him protected because he's a well-known person. Now, I use that term as loosely as I possibly can. I think it's this case that has really added to his notoriety. I mean, he wasn't exactly a household name coming into this investigation, but within the system, it does seem that they're a bit concerned that something could happen to him if he was maybe in Gen Pop or with some of the other inmates while he's awaiting trial. Because, of course, he did not get out on bail because these charges are so incredibly egregious. So it's definitely for his protection. I do wonder how much that has to do with just the optics and the fact that he has a crack defense team of celebrity attorneys who would really hammer them if anything happened to him behind bars. So he is segregated. He's alone just basically because he's kind of famous.
Once at the jail, D4VD is now segregated from other inmates for being a, quote, noteworthy person. Now, you mentioned that he may be more popular behind bars than he is on the outside, but isn't it true? He was pulling in millions of dollars and had just launched his worldwide withered tour when Celeste's body was found in 2 different trash bags, her head in one trash bag. Actually, they're called body bags, so I'm not sure they're trash bags. And the rest of her body dismembered in the second bag in his the front trunk of his Tesla. Isn't that true? Just before that happened, he was leaving on a world tour.
That's exactly right, Nancy. He was certainly an up-and-comer. He was on the upswing of his career. Like I said, not a household name yet, but definitely in the hip-hop world and in that circle, someone that people knew. And all of those things that you just mentioned right there are going to come into play in this case. It was him being on the upswing in his career. It was the money that he was making at the time. And it was this world tour that he was about to embark on that prosecutors believe factored into why he ultimately allegedly slaughtered this girl, tore her apart, and stuffed her into those bags. As you just laid out there, the gruesomeness of the crime, they're saying, was all going to go back to the fact that she was going to allegedly expose their sexual relationship. I mean, she's a child. She was a little girl in this case. And what prosecutors believe is that she was going to come forward and that he allegedly thought that would derail his career, which obviously it would if that came out there. And, I say obviously it would, but we've seen R. Kelly, we've seen things that happened with other domestic violence and other accusations with musicians, and sometimes it doesn't derail their career. It seems like the last bastion of celebrity that hasn't been impacted.
Wait a minute, Becker. Hold on. Where is Sean Puffy Combs, aka Diddy, right now, tonight? Where is he?
You know what? You're right. This might mean a change of the tide when it comes to how hip hop stars and how musicians in particular are treated. Prison.
Jail, jail, CI, Correctional Institute, prison, the big house, the pokey, the can. That's where he is. Okay. My purposes, he is a death investigator who I first met over the phone, and he and I were arguing because I wanted discovery and I wanted it then in a murder case, and he didn't give it to me in a timely manner. That's how I remember it. Joe Scott Morgan, death investigator with over 10,000 death investigations under his belt of all sorts, of course, accident, natural causes, heart attack, stroke, cancer.
Just get to it, girl.
Of course, homicide, suicide, and undecided. So he's seen it all. Can we refresh Caitlin Becker's recollection as to why David Anthony Burke, aka D4VD, the music star, may not be getting out of jail anytime soon? Describe how this little girl's body was found. But wait a minute, hold it.
She's too much. She sensationalizes way too much.
Joe Scott, listen to this.
The second is a special circumstance being that this murder was committed for financial gain.
Now, the whole special circumstance is super interesting to me because of the line and weight. That's a serious charge they're adding on here. He specifically says financial gain, but to me, I'm interpreting that as financial loss. Does he mean financial loss, meaning that because Celeste prevented him from, whatever it was that night, whatever happened that night that she stopped him from doing, right? And he murdered her for financial gain, meaning that he was going to lose his career. It's really a financial loss. It's not financial gain. In fact, if anything, he gained financially. He became famous because of Celeste. Let's put it out there. Like let's push it to perspective. Let's put it into perspective. He became famous because of Celeste. Why? Why do I say that? Because if you read the lyrics, if you watch the music videos, everything that he created involves love, death, this relationship that he had. And in fact, if anything, he used Celeste for financial gain. He used her for financial gain, in my opinion. So this special circumstance is boom, right on. Let's continue. Let's listen to what he says.
As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening. The third charge, in addition to lying in wait and for financial gain, is murdering a witness to an investigation. In this particular case, as the evidence will come out in court, the witness to the investigation was Celeste.
So there was I don't know, I'm taking this as there was an ongoing investigation into David. There was already, there may have been a complaint out there. And Celeste was in fact the witness to this investigation. That's a serious charge. That is a serious charge, murdering a witness in an investigation. I cannot wait to see how the defense is going to fight that one.
The investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts
Lascivious.
committed by Mr. Burke that is the subject of count 2 of this complaint with Celeste while she was under 14 years old.
Joe Scott Morgan, I just wanted you to get the flavor of the charges. This is not just murder. This is not just dismemberment, which is your bailiwick.
Now, if we go back to this, I think it's very interesting everything that the district attorney states in that press conference, because he does say that evidence will support it. He blatantly comes out and says that evidence will support it. And so I'm interested. I mean, do they have the weapon? Do they have a weapon? If they, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Minor lewd and lascivious acts on a 13-year-old girl. That much like you and I investigated this together, the case of Nicole Lovell. Do you remember that 13-year-old little girl that was having with a much older college star, David Eisenhower?
The whole, going back to the whole evidence, right? I'm interested to know if they happen to have a witness. Do they have a witness that came forward and actually stated, in fact, yes, I know for a fact Celeste has had a sexual relationship with David. Because how are you going to prove that, right? How are you going to prove that sexual relationship, right? So that part's very interesting too.
Track star, valedictorian, aspiring architect, blah, blah, blah. Having with a 13-year-old girl saying he wanted to marry her and have children. Then when she said she was going to tell people about their relationship and their love, she ends up dead on the side of the road, buck naked, wiped down with alcohol wipes. Yeah, he's behind bars on life without parole.
And let's get something straight right from the top. It's like this, where you have remains that are found in trunks. And you know what else, Nancy? Medical legal death investigation. When they opened that trunk, there would have been a smell that rolled out, and it assaulted everybody around there. I've been here.
I love that picture. I added the photo to the thumbnail. So cute. Look at her stare. She looks like she wasn't afraid of anything. That little stare, right? She looked like she was not afraid of anything, this little girl. Did she fight back? I wonder.
I've been there for countless cases like this where you have remains that are found in trunks. And you know what else, Nancy? Not only did that assault the investigators when they opened it up, it was also insects. There were flies that came out of that environment, probably lighted on the investigators. That happens a lot. People don't understand that.
And what's interesting regarding that about the insects is that there is a video that's circulating, and David, in fact, he sorry, I wanted to pull it up. There's a video on the 4th of July. We hear someone say, David, you need bug spray, or there's spiders over here, right? I'm trying to look for that video because that's crazy, right? Let me see if I find it. It's the 4th of July video. There's so much shit. There's so much going on here. I'm getting there. I'm probably not going to find it right now because there's a ton that came out. Okay, let's continue. I'm sorry, I'm losing everyone because I keep stopping the video. Let's continue.
And what they observed observed was one bag specifically that they're talking about that was covered with insects. You've got another bag that's contained in there, and contained within the bags are all that remains of Celeste. This is a brutal killing. Now, when we think about what the LA District Attorney said, and particularly in their releases, I found it very compelling, Nancy, because they are talking about that this is a death that occurred with the utility of a sharp weapon. Now, that can mean any number of things. That can mean that she was stabbed. It can mean that she was cut or incised. But also coupled with that, and one of the things that they're faced with at this moment in time, and it's going to be confusing for some people, is that you've got dismemberment going on. So one thing happens before death, obviously, the other happens after death. So they've got all of these injuries and insults to the body, and also couple that with the fact that you have a body that was so disrespected and abused, this is the abuse of a corpse, that they're going to have a really hard time trying to explain this to a jury. This is going to be a very detailed, highly detailed forensic case. We're going to hear a lot about tool marks. We're going to hear a lot about hemorrhage. We're going to hear a lot, probably in my humble opinion, about entomology, because where has she been all of this time, Nancy? And I think the insects are going to lead back to possibly the flow of him moving this body around. You can't sell me on the fact that he took her body and left it in the front for the entire time. You know,
That's why I'm trying to pull that video. Hold on. Now I have to do it. Like, you guys, you're just going to have to wait. Like, honestly, now I have to pull the video because what he is saying is super interesting here. Entomology. And that's having to do with the insects, right? When they actually, just to get, some proof of life, right? Of how long she was alive for. So we're going to go to Sakura's 4th of July. So let's go to videos. Playlist. We're going to go on to Celeste Rivas playlist because it's definitely in here. And then there is a video titled David 4th of July stream. Okay, so let me share my screen. Let's go there. Okay.
Wells Fargo can work with that.
So we're going to move on to, as they're walking out on this 4th of July stream, as they're walking out of the mansion, David's mansion, right? You will see, you will hear Asia say, David, you need some bug spray out here or something. Let me go to that. That, like, wouldn't you agree that why are these balloons here? It's now July. What's really happening here? By the way, these balloons are the balloons that are up on Cat's Eye stream. When he was streaming with Cat's Eye, these balloons were up. So you have on Valentine's Day, these balloons are up on the stream, and now we're fast forward to 4th of July, and they're all on the grounds. And I made a note that it's possible that his mansion has not been cleaned in 5 months. Because of that, that's proof that his mansion has not cleaned. These are from Valentine's. This stream is from July. Like, just put two and two together. Whoops. Let's play.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So hang on, because maybe I did it earlier in the stream. Hang on. Where the fuck is this shit, bro? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yo, listen.
David, you need to get bug spray. There's little spiders everywhere.
You hear that?
Yeah, just cover the camera.
Yeah, no, it's not the whole.
Okay, one second.
I hear. Watch. And David, you need to get bug spray. There's little spiders everywhere, bro. Let me play it again because I do hear that. So good catch, Reddit.
Little
Catch.
spiders
Careful. Just be
David, you need to get bug spray. There's little spiders everywhere.
Yeah, just cover the camera.
Yeah,
No, it's not the whole.
okay, one sec, chat. We're just leaving. We're just gonna.
Not the oval ones. Not the oval. What do you mean not the oval ones? What? Okay, anyway. But this coincides with what this expert is stating here. Let's go back to our girl Nancy Grace now. I'm gonna have to clip this and make it into I'm gonna clip this because I think this is important, and I'm noticing a lot of people don't like this long format lives. They prefer a shorter format of lives with I don't know, you guys, let me know your thoughts and your preference. I'd like to give you guys what you like, and I'm doing this for you guys, so just let me know. Anyway, I'm going to clip this, so let me play it.
I think we're hearing that she's calm, Nancy, and I think the insects are going to lead back to possibly really hard time trying to explain this to a jury. This is going to be a very detailed, highly detailed forensic case. We're going to hear a lot about tool marks. We're going to hear a lot about hemorrhage. We're going to hear a lot, probably in my humble opinion, about entomology, because where has she been all of this time, Nancy? And I think the insects are going to lead back to possibly the flow of him moving this body around. You can't sell me on the fact that he took her body and left it in the front for the entire time. I think we're hearing that she was last seen April 23rd, not found until well into September. So
I agree with him. LA is hot. We've had a hot summer. This past summer was in the West Coast freaking unbearable. Let me tell you something. She definitely was placed in that trunk much later than that. She may have been in the mansion. The whole time.
I think that the body was moved around. I don't think that she was dismembered initially. So where did he have the body? Was he moving around the house? And he's trying to make a decision about what in the world do I do with her now after I've murdered a child?
Well put, Joe Scott Morgan. The video we were showing you was from our friends at Fox News. That was an aerial view of D4VD, aka David Anthony Burke's Tesla, in the impound lot where it first became apparent to be a crime scene because of the stench of the dead body of a little girl. Steve Fischer joining me right now. I'm hearing in my ear, joining us out of San Bernardino, California. He is a missing persons private investigator, search and rescue specialist, owner of Search Investigations, and he has individually added evidence to this case by surveilling and collecting ring cam, door cam, surveillance cam within that Hollywood Hills neighborhood, indicating that D4VD's Tesla was moved multiple times around the neighborhood so as to avoid detection. For instance, an abandoned car right in front of your house, how many days are you going to put up with that before you call to get it towed? To avoid that, the car would be moved around and around and around like, what is that game where you walk around the chairs and when the music stops playing, everybody's got to sit down really quickly? That game, except it was with his Tesla, with a dead body in it. Steve Fischer, in addition to discovering that information, handing it over to law enforcement, and searching the home yourself, you have created a timeline, which I find extremely probative. Could you explain your timeline and why you have come up with those particular dates and times?
Well, it actually has a lot to do with what Joseph was just saying. I became really interested in the time between prosecutors seem fairly certain that April 23rd is the date that she was likely lured and killed by him. And that May 5th is a day of dismemberment. And building a timeline around that to see what his actions were right before and then after and then around the dismemberment time. And it gets interesting. April 23rd is the date that they're literally announcing that Wither tour is happening. And the next day, the night of the 24th, he's on a plane to New York for a 3-day music pop-up in New York. And so he has a very short window of time, not only unfortunately kill her, but also figure out what he's going to do with that body. Because he doesn't dismember her, if the prosecution is correct, until May 5th. And that's a big window of time. He stores her somewhere. And that's what we're trying to figure out through the timeline. On May 5th, Dust Berry's back in LA. He posts from downtown LA at about 11 p.m. at night. And it makes you wonder, like some of the pictures that we found on that camera card that he left behind, him and Celeste were in downtown, and it makes you wonder if there's a nexus downtown.
I don't think he knew what to do with her. I don't think he knew what to do with her.
Down LA, if she was stored there.
Let's take a look in depth at your timeline. April 23, prosecutors allege Celeste arrived the evening of April 23 to D4VD's rented mansion there in Hollywood Hills. The Withered World Tour tickets
would have been able to tell you who he was. That was only the point that I was trying to make there. And he certainly was an up and comer. He certainly was on the upswing of his career. And like I said, that is a big reason why prosecutors believe that he did this to her, that he massacred this girl. And I was not saying under any circumstances that I thought that this was a pit stop before he was getting out of prison. I was just noting that he has a crack defense team, major defense team. He's being repped by Blair Burke, who in Hollywood is one of the biggest names out there. She's worked with Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, Harvey Weinstein. So he has quite a team behind him there. And I think that if I know Blair Burke the way I do, covering her for all these years, she's going to take any opportunity to be able to poke holes in just the most minor places in the prosecution's case to try to get this guy back out in the world, which is her entire purpose. And that is why I think they made the choice to put him in solitary ultimately, because he is notorious. He's more notorious now that he's been involved in this crime and in this slaying. And so you gotta keep him separate, because if something happens, she's going to use it to her benefit.
If something happens, in other words, he's killed behind bars, she won't have a job anymore. Yep. It'll be over. She'll be representing his estate. So
said that is a big reason.
He had a New York City pop-up event, April 25, Withered Darkroom Interscope released, debuted at number 13 on the Billboard 200. That's to you, Caitlin Becker, number 13 on the Billboard 200. That ain't shabby, Caitlin.
He wasn't a household name.
13 on Billboard 200. Live appearance, pop-up, while performing Afterlife.
Okay, I just want to hear what Steve has to say.
Press conference and the charging documents that the April 23rd, he invites her over to the house, and they believe, and she's never seen again. And then May 5th, I don't know exactly how they got that date. I assume this is from people that are talking though. But May 5th is the date they believe she's dismembered, and that's a wide gap of time, and he's not even in town. That makes it very interesting, to say the least. And one thing I think is going to be important here is just very simple things. Since she's 14 years old, how did she get over to the house? Because she didn't have the ability to drive herself over or anything. So did he get her an Uber that's going to document that coming over, or did somebody bring her over and then leave and never took her back to where she came from? things like that would be interesting to find out.
Question to you regarding the timeline. There was that and guys, very quickly, could you describe that? It's basically an incinerator that you observed in the home and those implements that could be used to dismember someone?
Yeah, so we found in the house what had been delivered there was a burn cage, which is it's marketed as an incinerator. They're often used on farms to incinerate everything from trash to animal carcasses, and it burns up to 1,600 degrees, and that's what it's advertised as. And then we also found a chainsaw, and not been used, but we found a chainsaw. And you know, the rental house, first of all, comes with yard people and everything like that. It's not like you're responsible for doing it. And even if you were, the way the lot is and stuff, you would have professionals use a chainsaw there. So put together with what's happened, it's, you know, it makes you wonder if.
Exactly. Like a normal person wouldn't go out and order this. Like, I mean, I wouldn't, like, your average person. And if it's anything like to do with props, if he needed those things like a chains, first of all, he doesn't even look like he's ever picked up a chainsaw in his life. But if he needed a chainsaw or something like this, I would think as a prop, for example, I think the production company would take care of that. You know, he's got a production company that can handle that. So I'm not sure. This is strange. This is totally strange that Steve found this at the mansion because it doesn't belong. You know what I mean?
There were several options they're putting on the table for possibly getting rid of her body complete. And I'll never understand how she was just left in the car like that.
I'll be curious to find out when he ordered the burn cage. To Joanna Nieves joining us, a renowned criminal defense attorney, founder of the Nieves Law Firm there in that jurisdiction of California. You can find her at thenieveslawfirm.com. Joanna, if what Fischer's timeline is borne out, if it's borne out to be true, how?
I like this lady. So let's hear what she has to say. She made a very good comment earlier in the investigation. So it's not her first time being on Nancy's show. And I'm so very interested about the whole evidence because so far we need to know if the prosecution has direct evidence. Does the prosecution have direct evidence or is it all circumstantial evidence? Right? It can't, like, that's why I'm dying to see what they have. Because if it's circumstantial evidence or evidence that can, like, some witnesses stating that he's evil or, like, attacking his character, that's not evidence. That's not. They need some type of direct evidence in order for these serious charges.
Would D4VD, David Anthony Burke, explain that he orders a home incinerator, a burn cage, and then she ends up dead within 24, 36 hours?
Yeah, I definitely think it speaks to that 40 plus terabytes of information that we're all missing. Like, did he actually make this order? Was he the one that paid for it? When did that order take place? Was it before or after the alleged April 23rd date? I think there's so much for us to still discover. Ms. Burke asked for discovery informally on the first day of the appearance. There's so much data that's out there that the prosecution is relying on. One thing that's advantageous for us is that they're pushing for a speedy prelim. It's set on day 3 of 10, and hopefully it doesn't go beyond that 10-day limit, so that the public who's so invested in this can start seeing what the prosecution is relying on. Because honestly, the purchase of a burn cage may speak to the mutilation of the corpse, but does not necessarily speak to the actual homicide.
Steve Fischer, do you remember that late night Santa Barbara trip that we know D4VD, David Anthony Burke, took around 2:00 in the morning, something like that? He goes up into a heavily forested area. Do you believe there's any chance that is where the body was dismembered, then put into body bags and brought back?
Yeah, I go back and forth on that, and I'll tell you why. Because we didn't find any evidence of the Santa Barbara trip. We did find some photographic evidence that he spent time in the National Forest, which was still inside LA County. But, the charging documents themselves, and I understand you can probably explain this better than anyone, might not have to be exact on this, but they say in the county of Los Angeles, she was dismembered. So I don't know. We didn't find anything about the Santa Barbara trip. So I just can't speak to that.
Well, you're right.
Yeah.
There's a jurisdictional issue there. So let me refer you to his travelings within LA County. Would that include a forested area?
It would, and I could see that happening out there because it's easier to not have that evidence. But I don't understand how she ended up where she ended up after being dismembered.
Here's my question back to you, which I'm going to go to you on, Bethany, because go through all this, managed to elude justice for so many months, and he has the body in his trunk of his car, and they're moving it around the neighborhood, and they're caught on video on door cam doing it. But first, Joe Scott Morgan, at the location of her dismemberment, if it is in nature, is there a way, even now, that a cadaver dog could hit on it?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be difficult because the remains obviously have been removed. However, if they can zero in on a particular area, and Nancy, just go with me here, hear what I'm saying. If that is the case, she would have already been in a rather advanced state of decomposition when she would have been removed, allegedly, to this Santa Barbara location. Okay. So any kind, I don't know how to put this delicately, but any kind of dismemberment that would have gone on out there would have left traces in a specific area. Okay. And I'm talking about bodily fluids. I'm talking about bone dust, all these sorts of things that we encounter along the way. Could there be a remnant out there? Potentially, but it is not going to be a strong hit, because I know where you're going with this. You're thinking, can we bring cadaver dogs out there? It's worth a shot to do it, but I think that there's going to be less of a chance of finding something out in that remote location. If they can specifically identify it, I think there'll be less of a chance as opposed back to the house.
That's a good point. Why not?
$1 million to fix in the digital evidence in court is the story of why she ended up in the frunk rather than buried somewhere, and where she was dismembered, and the mystery is going to be solved. But it's still a mystery now. And what I think happened is that there was probably a lot of infighting in that group, and that just a few of the mini band of characters knew what was happening. So he alleged.
Can I just say one thing? He's wearing contacts on his mugshot. He's wearing gray or green contacts. Wow. Like, oh my God. After everything, like you're still thinking about your appearance.
Usually kills her, goes to his pop-up, leaves her in the frunk, and then there's a big argument about, well, where do we put her? Do we bury her? Do we leave her in the frunk? What do we do with her? And it's just like idiots, not being able to make up their minds, so they just move the car around incessantly. But do you know what I'm hearing as a possible defense strategy in court? And I'm not an attorney, I'm just a psychoanalyst. They're going to say, Burke is going to say, that's not a burn cage, that was a smoker. They were going to smoke salmon. They just ordered the wrong piece of equipment. But back to the timeline, Nancy, they didn't know what to do with the body. So they just made really idiotic 20-year-old decisions and then texted incessantly. So the mystery will be solved.
21 years old, Dr. Bethany, 21, old enough to vote, old enough to drink, old enough to buy cigarettes, old enough to know better, old enough to get the death penalty in California. To Dave Mack joining us, clarify, what is D4VD's net worth? And when we're talking about the date of death, if she's so decomposed and they can't get a date of death, you believe how they have pegged it on April 23?
Well, Nancy, bottom line on his financials. Right now, David Anthony Burke has a net worth loosely between $2 and $3 million. Do remember, Nancy, that his money did not start with signing the record deal. He had built a social media following using TikTok and YouTube and things like that to develop his following and develop his money. And so he's been making money for some time, but 2 to 3 million is what he has right about now. As for the pinpointing, April 23rd as the time of death, and then the May 5th dismemberment. To get to those dates, Nancy, law enforcement has, we know that they had the incredible digital breakdown of the timeline. We didn't know what it led to. We just knew that that investigators said that D4VD made a late night trip to Santa Barbara County in the late spring of 2025. That's what they told everybody. So now they pinpointed that D4VD invited Celeste, lured her to his home April 23rd, and killed her. That's what law enforcement alleges. So they obviously have information, whether it be digital from cell phones. We've got cameras everywhere. But apparently, based on the wording, lured her to the home, Celeste was not living with D4VD at the time of her death. That means she was staying with somebody else because she's a child. She's only 14.
You don't know that. She was certainly not at home. He could have lured her home from choir practice for all I know. That doesn't mean she was living elsewhere. Joe Scott Morgan, thoughts?
Oh, listen, I think that they have specific information, and I concur. I think that somebody has rolled over on this. It's just, when you get these specific dates like this, and particularly when you're going to, Nancy, you're talking about a specific date for dismemberment. Nancy, in all of my years, I have never heard anything like this. And I cover on body bags. I cover a lot of dismemberments. Brother Dave and I do. And we've seen an uptick in these things, believe it or not. However, to that point, how in the world would you know that? Because that's not like you're necessarily tracking it with some kind of electronics or something like that. You're talking about an action that involves using tools to essentially rip apart a child's body. You know, how are you going to come into that information? I think that they have found a pressure point, and they are applying pressure to that point. I am just glued. I'm going to hang on every word that you have to say over the next few days, because I think more is to come in this case. We're going to find out far more specifics than we have right now.
In jurisdiction of California, you know, it's straight out of Aesop's fables. Be careful what you ask, my dear, for you will surely get it. They said, speed up, speed up. We want to prove our innocence. So now they're getting it. Preliminary hearing set for tomorrow morning. Why would they do that?
Because he has a right to a speedy prelim at this point to happen within 10 days. He can also waive that, and it can happen within 60, and trial can happen within 60 days as well. So I think what they're doing is trying to get all of the Brady material that they can. Discovery is due at least 30 days prior to trial. But when it comes to prelim, the DA is responsible for turning over all exculpatory, favorable, impeachment type information, witness statements. And so they should have that in hand so that they're able to have put on a fair defense at prelim and be able to cross-examine those witnesses. And so when you keep that 10-day window, then at least there's going to be an exchange of parts of the discovery. And most of the time, it's those critical parts of discovery to help defend the case.
Yeah, they wanted to see the evidence. They want to see what does the prosecution have on David. This is why they waived their right? And so preliminary hearing will be tomorrow. There's something else I want to share that was just released. I'm sure Twitter. Okay, this was just released by Lauren Conlin on Twitter. The family of Celeste Rivas Hernandez issued a statement through their attorney, Patrick Steinfeld. They will not be attending D4VD's hearing tomorrow. The Rivas Hernandez family is absolutely devastated by the findings contained in the medical examiner's report involving the horrible and gruesome death of their beloved daughter. These findings have caused profound emotional pain for the family. They respectfully ask for privacy, understanding, and patience as they process this information. Jesus and Mercedes will not attend David Anthony Burke's hearing tomorrow. The Rivas Hernandez family sincerely appreciates the community's support and concern. They just recently found out, right? This must be so hard on them. I can't even imagine. Honestly, this is tough. Let's see what else we find here. New report, teen found in D4VD's car died from multiple penetrating injuries. What we know so far. New details. A newly medical examiner's report ruled 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez death as a homicide. The LA County medical examiner found 2 penetrating wounds of the torso and dismemberment of the upper and lower extremities. The report also shared meth and MDMA found in her system during initial screening. Not guilty. On Monday, prosecutors charged David Burke, known as D4VD, with murder for continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious. Wait. I wrote this word down so I could pronounce it correctly. Lascivious. Lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating the human remains of a body. Burke pled not guilty to the murder charge, but faces life in prison or a possible death penalty if convicted for the crime. And that special circumstances gives the court is able to place the death penalty with that special circumstance charge. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, this was interesting. I saw this circulating also on Twitter. It says the medical examiner also says that her left ring and pinky fingers were amputated, but the body diagram shows that her right pointer finger with the tattoo was intact. So the body was badly decomposed. Her head was partially skeletonized with an absent left eye. That's how decomposed her body was. Now, when it says that these two fingers are missing, you guys. These two are missing. That's where we see, I don't know if that's a temporary tattoo. It could be. It could be. So, she had his name tattooed there, you guys. Oh, this is so sad. I read the medical examiner report already. Here, let's see what Lauren says here. This was about an hour ago. We've been on, oh my God, we're going on 2 hours. 2 hours for Celeste. Celeste Rivas Hernandez autopsy. Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Oldi Ukpo released a statement. After several months, I am grateful this information can now be released, not only to the public, but also to the grieving family enduring the loss. I read this. This was good. I'm going to retweet this one. That was a great statement made by the medical examiner. Before I end this live, let me check up on Steve, make sure there's nothing else that has come out that I may have missed before I exit this live. Here, 3 hours ago, actually, yeah. Okay, let's take a look at this, you guys. It says, on April 24th, 2025, just hours after prosecutors alleged that David Anthony Burke killed Celeste Rivas Hernandez, his management held a Withered album release party in LA that began at 8 p.m. David then likely took a red-eye flight to New York afterward. All of his managers were likely in Los Angeles for the party. The house that Celeste was lured to, according to prosecutors, was leased by his management company. So the question is, who knew what? And when did they know it? April 23rd and 24th were not quiet, uneventful days or nights. David had just performed at Coachella. His album was being released, and a party was being held in his honor. There were people around him, and he was the center of attention. It is difficult to believe he had much time completely alone. Who knew what and when? If you attended the party and this brings back any memory of David or others in his immediate circle acting unusually, if you were at the rental house, if you saw Celeste around April 23rd or 24th, please contact the LAPD Robbery Homicide Division. If you are willing to speak with me, I will keep your information confidential, except as required for law enforcement. This is about justice for a 14-year-old girl. Attached is a message referencing the party held just hours after Celeste was killed. Thank you to those who are coming forward now that David is in custody. So there's more people coming forward, you guys. And this message was the party that was held just after her unaliving. It was held on the 24th. On the 24th at 8 p.m. It says, the host of Withered album release party sent a text blast. D4VD's Withered album release party kicks off in 90 minutes. When you arrive at the 100 Thieves compound, please enter through the parking lot to the left of the building and head to the back. Thanks. And see. What? 100 Thieves Compound. Where is that? 100 Thieves Compound. Let's see. Let's look at this venue. Okay, let me share my screen. This is about to get weird. This is where the party was held? What? Right here. What is this? So this is where that party was being held. Has a stage, computers. Lounge. There's a video. YouTube. Let me go to YouTube because there's the video. I wonder if this is the video where he's seen in the music video, you see him with a luggage, carrying a luggage, walking past a building. I'm trying to think, could this be it? I believe the video is here with me. Hold on. So you see this? Okay, remember this picture. You see that? Windows are here to the right and to the top left. All right, now let's go to David's videos because I have a feeling that that building. So we go to his videos, right? I think it's here with me. Bear with me. I'm so sorry, but I'm trying to find this video because like he's walking out of a building. Wait, maybe it's this one. Like the very beginning of
The budget over $300 billion.
very beginning of the video, he's walking out with a luggage in front of a building, and it looks like that one for some reason. So I just want to like see if it's the same one. Man, I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing to this video. So it's not that one, but it's definitely one that I've watched. Fuck. Sleep Well, maybe? No. Oh, here with me. Here, this is it. This is the one. Watch this. The way the video. Yeah, this is it. Watch. Check this out. I'm just trying to figure out if this is the same building. I was wrong. I was wrong. It's not this one. Okay, it's not this one. Fuck. Could be romantic homicide. Could be the one. Let's see. This is it. Oh no, it's a different building. Okay, I just had to check for myself just to make sure. Anyway, yeah, we're past the 2-hour mark. Thank you for everyone who joined. I will come back with more details. Tomorrow is the preliminary hearing for David, so I will have more details. Not sure. It's not going to be publicized public. So I will come back after the hearing for more details. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they may file a motion to extend for an extension because 40 terabytes, there's no way they were able to swift through all of those details within 2-3 days? Yeah, so I think they're going to file a motion to extend, to make for an extension, honestly. You guys, thank you. I appreciate everyone for joining. Have a lovely night. Thank you.